All right, class, let's get started. Now, if you think human resources is just about paperwork and payroll, I'm here to tell you that idea is, well, it's about 20 years out of date. Today, we're going to completely reframe how we think about HRM. It's not just an administrative task. It's really the strategic engine that drives any successful modern business. So, let's dive in.
I want you to really let this sink in, because this sentence right here, this is the core concept for our entire conversation today. It's a huge shift in thinking. We're moving away from seeing employees as, a cost on a spreadsheet, and instead seeing them as incredibly valuable strategic assets. Their talent, their motivation, that's what gives a company its edge. That's the modern HR mindset.
Okay, so here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to tackle the why HR is so critical as a strategic engine. Then, we'll get into the nuts and bolts, the core functions. After that, we'll look at the two worlds HR has to navigate, the internal context and the external environment. And finally, we'll peek into the future of the profession. This is basically your syllabus for today's masterclass.
So let's jump right into Section 1, HRM as the strategic engine. This is all about getting to the heart of why we manage people and how doing it well is directly tied to hitting those big picture business goals.
So how does great HR actually impact the bottom line? Well, in a few massive ways. First, agility. A strong HR function means your teams can pivot on a dime. Second, innovation. It creates a culture where people feel safe to experiment. Third, brand reputation. Happy, engaged employees lead to happy customers. Fourth, cost efficiency. You're making sure you have the right people in the right seats. Not too many, not too few. And finally, it's about risk mitigation, reducing things like employee turnover and, costly legal trouble.
All right, on to Section 2, the core functions and processes. So, we've talked about the why, now let's get into the how. The best way to think about this is like a continuous loop, a cycle that manages an employee's entire journey with a company, from beginning to end.
Now, what's so cool about this is how each step just flows right into the next. It's not a bunch of random tasks. It all starts with strategic planning, thinking, what kind of talent do we actually need? That then informs how you design the job, which then drives who you recruit. Then you bring that awesome hire on board, you manage their performance, and you're always looking for ways to improve the whole system. See? It's a system, not just a to-do list.
Of course, this whole process doesn't just happen in a nice, neat little bubble. To be really effective, HR has to live in two worlds at the same time. On one hand, there's the internal world, where HR gets to actively shape things like company culture and leadership. But on the other hand, there's the external world, where HR has to constantly adapt to these big forces like the economy, technology, and the law. Getting that balance right is everything.
So let's dig into that internal world first. This section is all about how HR has to tailor its strategies to fit the unique DNA of each and every company.
And this is so crucial because there is absolutely no one-size-fits-all solution in HR. Think about it. The HR policies at a nimble little tech startup with a flat structure are going to be completely different from those at a huge traditional manufacturing company. The culture, the leaders, the rules, it all shapes how HR has to operate.
Okay, so now let's flip the coin and talk about the other side in Section 4, the external environment. This is all about those powerful forces happening outside the company's walls that HR has no choice but to adapt to.
And wow, this list really shows you how complex the job is, right? A great HR leader has to be part lawyer, part economist, part tech guru, and part sociologist. You're dealing with everything from new employment laws and a crazy labor market to implementing AI in your hiring process. You have to constantly be looking outside to see what's coming next.
And that brings us to our final section, which is maybe the most exciting one, the future of HR. The whole profession is going through this massive evolution, becoming a function that is, at the same time, deeply powered by data and intensely focused on people.
Okay, listen closely. If you remember one thing from this last section, make it this. For years, HR was about compliance, making sure people followed the rules. But today, and in the future, it's all about prediction. It's about using data to predict what skills you'll need next year, who might be at risk of leaving, and how different talent strategies will actually impact the business. It's a total game changer.
So for all of you, as you get ready to head out there and become leaders, this is the world you'll be working in. You've got AI changing everything, the rise of the gig economy, a massive new focus on mental health, and of course, the ongoing work of building diverse and equitable teams in a hybrid world. This is the new normal. And let's just zoom in on one of these, the gig economy. The strategic challenge here is huge. HR isn't just managing the people on the full-time payroll anymore. Now it's about designing and managing a whole ecosystem of talent, a mix of employees, freelancers, and consultants that can come together for different projects. It requires a totally different way of thinking. In this slide right here, this is a perfect example of how modern HR demonstrates its strategic value. You take a big idea, like let's improve diversity, and you turn it into a concrete, measurable business goal. It's not just a nice-to-have initiative anymore. It's a hard number, with a deadline, that HR is held accountable for achieving.
So as we wrap up, what do you, as future leaders, need to carry with you? 4 things. First, embrace data to make your decisions about people. Second, always champion human-centered leadership. Third, build a culture where everyone understands that learning never, ever stops. And finally, make sure your teams and processes are built to be agile and resilient.
So I'll leave you with this question to really think about. When it's your turn, when you're the one in charge, facing all of these challenges, which of these strategic levers are you going to pull first? Are you going to be the data champion, the culture builder, the one who drives agility? Your answer, well, that's going to define the kind of leader you become.